This is our presentation of Dead Poets Society. The story takes place in the boarding school Wilson Academy. The school is for the upper class. The teachers are very passionate for the students to get good grades and become important to the society, which also means that the school's reputation will get even better if they have more successful students. The school is very expensive, so it's not all people who can afford getting their kids assigned to the school and getting the high education they want for them. The academy is constructed with a lot of rules, and the teachers will not appreciate any kind of bad habits or bad behaviors. The school is based on 4 words: discipline, honor, tradition, excellence. These words are of great value to the school, and the teachers at Wilson Academy takes them seriously. The 4 words says a lot about how the school works and how it comes to show. The school is strict, and you have to behave nicely at all costs. We quoted page 1, line 1 to 5, which gives an idea of how the school is like. Inside the stone chapel of Wilson Academy, a private school nestled in the remote hills of Vermont, more than 300 boys, all wearing the academy blazer, sat on either side of the long easel, surrounded by proud-faced parents, and waited.
Main theme. We think the main theme in the story is Carpe Diem, or just seize the day. In the story, we follow a group of boys consisting of Charlie, Neil, Todd, Knox, Meeks, and Cameron. The focus of the story is the development that the boys goes through. They go from being just another Wilton student to being a rather unique individual that knows how to seize the day. Carpe Diem is expressed through the new teacher at school, Mr. Keating, who teaches the boys how to seize the day and live life to the fullest. Mr. Keating first introduced the quote Carpe Diem on page 25. Gather your road spots while you may. Old time is still a-flying, and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. He explains how you should seize the day, because soon it could all be gone. The boys took it all in and began to live life the way they wanted to. As described earlier, the school is an old upper-class school, which is very characterized by the 4 pillars: tradition, honor, discipline, and excellence. Therefore, Mr. Keating's way of teaching is very out of the ordinary and really changes the boys. Throughout the story, the boys evolve, and while they come to admire Mr. Keating's way of understanding poetry and living life.
It's clear to see how much Mr. Keating inspires the boys to seize the day. For an example, there is Neil. Neil Perry is a popular, idealistic student at Wilton and one of Keating's most loyal disciples. As Todd Anderson's roommate, Neil is instrumental in inspiring Todd to be bolder and more confident. For his own part, Neil is highly intimidated by his father, Mr. Perry, and yearns to find a way to rebel against his family. Mr. Keating's words about seizing the day inspires him, and Neil decides he's going to follow his dream and become an actor. Luckily for Neil, the school is hosting a play where he gets a role, and thus he starts acting behind his father's back and seizing the day. This can also be seen in chapter 7, page 63 to 64. 64. The point is that for the first time in my whole life, I know what I want, and for the first time I'm gonna do it whether my father wants me to or not. Carpe diem, Todd. Then there is Todd. Todd is a new student at Wilton, having transferred from another less prestigious school. He doesn't get along with his parents, who he feels favor his older, more academically successful brother Jeffrey Anderson. At Wilton, Todd is first quiet and shy, but with the encouragement from John Keating and the friendship of Neil Perry, his roommate, he learns to open up, express his feelings, and compose impressive poetry. This can also be seen in chapter 8, page 74. Mr. Anderson believes that everything he has inside of him is worthless and embarrassing. Correct, Todd. Isn't that your fear? Todd nodded jerkily. And it follows on page 76. Neil started applauding. Others joined in. Todd took a deep breath, and for the first time he smiled with an air of confidence.
Knox is a thoughtful, romantic student at Wilton, and as every other person does, he falls in love with a girl who is named Chris Noel. Unfortunately, Chris is the Chris is the girlfriend of his father's friend's son, and that makes him doubt if he should try and pursue her. Knox's first attempts to woo Chris are disrespectful, at best, and assaultive. He even gropes Chris at a party. Later on, Knox tries to use the poetry and eloquence he's learned from John Keating to woo Chris. And his take on seizing the day is reading a love poem out loud for Chris in her class. And this is shown at chapter 11, page 127 to 128. All I'm asking you to do is listen, he said, as he unfolded his poem and began to read. The teacher and the class turned and stared at Knox in amazement. It is also shown at chapter 11, page 129. I love you, Chris, he said. Then he turned and walked out of the room. Charlie would get into a lot of trouble, however, he didn't mind and wanted to use Carpe Diem to make life more fun. If all we do is come and read a bunch of poems to each other, what the hell are we doing? He explains how the boys should do more daring acts and not play by the rules. Mr. Keating did not intend for the boys to get themselves into trouble, and he tells Charlie, getting expelled from this school is not an act of wisdom or daring. He just wanted them to live their best day to day, not for them to be troublemakers. The book gives many examples of Carpe Diem and is based around living life to the fullest.